Here with us now is founder and managing partner at Genco Legal, Brian Rotella. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Hannah.
So the biggest question left is when it comes to witnesses in the Hunter Biden federal gun trial, with Hunter Biden himself testify. You're an attorney. What advice would you give him? Should he testify?
Well, first of all, Hannah, this morning for our audience, I think we need to go back in the flashback machine to the 1990s.
Okay.
Why? Remember Bill Clinton's famous deposition answer, it depends on the definition of what is. What he was getting around in that deposition is, if it means when I was having sexual relationships with Monica Lewinsky in the past, not an issue. If it's current, it was an issue. Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's lawyer, is doing a very creative defense here where it is all about what the definition of addict is. They're creating a boundary to basically have the defense be that Hunter Biden did not believe he was an addict on October 12, 2018, when he bought that gun. And as long as he didn't believe he was an addict on that day, then the jury has to acquit him because it's all about his intent and his knowledge on that day. And all of the mountain of evidence and testimony we've heard from his ex-wife, from his sister-in-law, from the stripper that apparently he was having a relationship with, from his daughter, Hannah, all of that needs to be thrown out because they don't have one iota of evidence that Hunter Biden was actually using drugs on that day. So to answer your question after that preamble, Hunter Biden, in my opinion, really would be the most effective witness to be able to say, you know what, I didn't think I was an addict on that day. I thought I was in a good place. I had come out of rehab. The biggest problem, Hannah, is, and me as a trial lawyer, I would not put him on the stand because of the two trials he has coming up in October that are tax evasion trials. On cross-examination, he will likely perjure himself and get himself into a lot of trouble. So let's see if Abby Lowell's creative defense without Hunter testifying is going to be enough to get him off.
There is speculation that James Biden, of course, that's President Biden's brother, will testify on behalf of Hunter. What would the defense gain by having James testify this week?
Well, it all comes back to what we're talking about. They're trying to build this, think of a barricade around Hunter Biden may have been using drugs, even from his own a book that's been played, audio book that's been played throughout the trial, may have been using drugs really for the last couple decades. But they're going to have the President Biden's brother basically say, I have no indication whatsoever in knowing my nephew that he was using on October 12, 2018. And that is the key issue that they're going to be telling the jury, that he had to not only be using or more importantly, believe he was an addict on October 12, 2018. And I'm anticipating that if they call the president's brother, the brother's going to say, look, he had been in rehab for the last 11 days or week or whatever it had been. And from his perspective, Hunter did not believe he was an addict on that day.
Let's explore the jury further. They're obviously going to decide the fate of Hunter. And there's 5 examples of addiction connections. And one is a retired Secret Service officer. From the outside looking in, Brian, this jury looks like they could favor Hunter, possibly when they heard Naomi's testimony. That, of course, is Hunter's daughter. Hunter wiped away tears as he was listening to his daughter. What are your thoughts on the jury?
Well, as far as Hunter's daughter, again, give Abby Lowell credit. I don't know if a lot of folks know this. Abby Lowell, Hunter's attorney, actually represented Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner in the last couple of years as well. So he's played both sides. Really great lawyer. I think he picked a jury that's very helpful here. Second, let's call it what it is. It's not the Brady Bunch. It's the Biden Bunch. How many of the Bidens have been in court in Delaware, which is certainly a friendly jurisdiction to Hunter Biden? I think this jury is going to be sitting here and seeing a very emotional family, including the testimony from Hunter's daughter, and they're going to be sitting there going, if we don't have direct evidence that Hunter was using, which the prosecution simply doesn't have, on October 12, 2018, should we really be convicting this guy? And ultimately, there's a potential penalty of 25 years in prison. I think there's a real chance here, Hannah, that he gets a hung jury with that jury, or potentially gets an acquittal.
So you think there's a chance he might walk free?
I absolutely do. And if he does, my goodness, Abby Lowell should, again, as a fellow lawyer, what a creative defense he's put together. It sounds almost Johnny Cochran-esque. If the definition of addict doesn't fit, you must acquit. I could literally see him saying something like that.
Yes, a line that lives in infamy till this day. Brian Rotella, we always appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on this Sunday.
My pleasure, Hannah.
And the May jobs report was stronger than expected.